Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
What is up, everybody? We're back, and we're back on time. There's Dennis. He says, what's up? But yeah, we were back on time. We're not late. The scratches came out very early today. We're on the turf, the best three words in racing, on the turf. We are on the turf today at Saratoga. It's going to be a fun card. I think it's a very competitive card. Ricky, what's up, man?
Not too much. We are back on the grass, the turf, the inner turf, outer turf. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's good to be back. It really ruins the card for us when we have, races taken off. And it definitely did yesterday. I think we should try to recap some of the races yesterday if we have some time to it, because there are a few different angles that I noticed that I would like to talk about. But yeah, no, you're right. Back on the turf. It's supposed to be pretty solid weather all weekend, which is good news as well. So yeah, excited to get back into it. I don't know why you switched the location of us. I don't know what's going on. But
listen, I didn't switch it. I don't know. We just showed up that way today. I'm not really sure why. Oh, I was messing around with this. That's probably why earlier.
Yeah, you and technology sometimes aren't the best of friends.
No, and we've always had a theme song, Vinny. We've always had a theme song. Yeah, I do want to talk about yesterday. Part of
that question is yes, Vinny. You haven't been here at the start of it. That's why you haven't heard the theme.
Exactly. Yeah. After we do Saratoga today, we'll talk about yesterday a little bit because I do want to recap as well. I was just horrible. Here's a bad thing. The first 5 races I was all over, and then the last 4 that we covered for the show, I was horrible. So it was that's just how it worked out. Hopefully we flip-flop that, or maybe I could just do the whole card decently today. That would be good as well. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about yesterday. After we do Saratoga, the late pick 4 again, races 7 through 10. Again, we are on the turf. That is the best news of all. Ricky, let's get right into it. Let's get to race 7. This race, $16,000 claimer going 6 furlongs on the dirt for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. We do have some scratches, but they were part of a coupled entry. So the 1A is out. The 1A is out and the 3 is out. And so, not really scratches that make a whole lot of difference here. I thought this was a pretty wide open race. I forgot to put up your ticket. We'll do that now. You went 4 deep here. Kind of walk us through what you saw here.
Yeah, I only went 4 deep because I really don't trust any of these horses, and I'll leave your top pick again for you later. So I'll start with the 3 that I'm going to use. Again, I don't really trust anyone in here. That's why I went deep. I'll start with the 6, and that's Quantitative Reason for Brad Cox. I thought she was pretty good last time out. This is a Central Banker. This is a New York bred. And I thought she was solid at the 40,000 level, but she's going to drop in class, and she's one of many class droppers. I think we're going to get to a bunch of them towards the outer part of these post positions. Has some tactical speed. The one time she broke her maiden, the one time she actually won a race was over a muddy track. So that's an interesting fact here. Brad Cox actually puts her back on the dirt schedule. This is the first time she's going to be on a scheduled fast main track or a scheduled dirt main track race. So I thought that was an interesting angle. Manny Franco was aboard for the 4th straight time and was aboard on that day as well. The 8 Mile Luring Lady, I'll chalk the last race up. There was a muddy seal track because the race before that, I'll admit she was pretty bad, but she hasn't beaten a horse in her last 2 starts. But if we look at that race back in January against maiden special weights, I mean, she was pretty good. And a good maiden special weight. Okay, so this is the way I like to do it. A bad maiden special weight win goes into a claiming race. A solid to good goes into a starter allowance or a protected spot or a starter optional claiming, which I don't believe they have at Saratoga. They do it like Gulfstream. And a good maiden special weight victory goes to the allowance. based on her Aqueduct win, which doesn't have the best horses, they're all at Gulfstream, she should have never been at the allowance runners. And Aaron and I talk about, you try to make a story for a horse. Her story should have never been at the allowance level. She skipped too many chapters. I think this is the right spot. I'll skip my another horse I'm using. It's going to be your top choice. And I thought the 10, Chloe Rose, I just think breaking from the outside is really, really going to help her. It's interesting, Aaron. She's a twirling candy, and she's clearly much better on the dirt. So I understand why Bruce Brown got her off the claim and tried her on the turf. Just didn't work out. So I'm not sure what to make of her. Going to be making her Saratoga debut. She was running for Brittany Russell. That's why you see all the Pimlico and Laurel races, and then her final race for Brittany Russell was at Belmont. I don't think she's horrible. And this kind of looks of a race in my book. Do you mind scrolling down just a touch so we could show the 10 horse? Yeah, that's the biggest point here. The 6-1 is the reason that I like her, because your top choice that you're going to talk about, I just don't trust any of the other short prices. So I kind of wanted a little bit more of a mild long shot in there. So I went with 4 deep. I talked about the 6, 8, 10, but I'll let Aaron talk about his top choice, another horse I'm using as well.
Yeah, the 9 Traffic Lane is who I put on top. And by the way, I used the exact same 4 horses in the pick 4 that you used. So I think we're completely on the right category. This feels like an Aqueduct type of race almost. This is not a typical Saratoga race. I really feel like these horses just aren't that great. The 9 Traffic Lane I thought was pretty interesting. Changes Barnes over to Rudy Rodriguez, and that's what Rapoli does with horses. The Todd Pletcher that he has with it, it's just like, yeah, I'm kind of done. This horse is not going to be a stakes type runner. So they move him over to Rudy. Gets Irad Ortiz aboard. I thought that was a really good sign here. This horse has the numbers to win. This horse has, more class than anybody else in the race as well. So I just kind of thought this one made a lot of logical sense. May just outclass what is a pretty poor field, and this is a major class drop. This horse has been running in stakes races, been running in allowance, ran for 50K claiming last time out on the turf. Now gets back to the dirt, which I think is the surface she probably prefers, and with the class drop, I think she's just going to be pretty tough to beat. But this is not a race we're real excited about one way or the other. I think, you put it perfectly. You went 4 deep here because you're just thinking, let's just try to get through it, use the 4 that just kind of look the best on paper, just kind of hope that they're just a little bit better. And you're not going to get any long shot here because the long shots are really weak, right? Like some of these bigger prices, they're not good.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, I completely agree. And that's why I want to touch on this point. I feel like you limit your range of pick 4 to say stats during your previews, and then it's followed up with the aren't there times it's appropriate to go outside the range. So I would just like a little clarification. Are we talking more than 4 horses in a race? I'm not exactly sure what that comment. I don't even mind being criticized / attacked. I really don't care. I'm just trying to figure out what it is so I could address it. To Aaron's point, and maybe this is what we're talking about, I just don't think any of the long shots, I just don't think they make sense. I'm not going to throw a horse on here that I don't think has a chance to win. I'll go through all the horses that I'm not using, and I'll tell you why they're not going to win, in my opinion. Busting My Groove, the last dirt race was at Finger Lakes in an elite allowance race as a favorite. No, thank you. Then goes to the Belmont Turf and is dreadful. The 2 Irresistible Girl finished 7th at the 16,000 level. Aaron, I'm pretty sure the 2 of us can outrun this filly. The 4 Big Tony's Girl, same thing, dreadful. These are horses I just don't see have a chance. I'll be more than willing to be wrong, at least on the 1, 2, and 4. The 5 Cause to Dream, a rider upgrade to Ricardo Santana, a trainer I don't love, but at least looks a little decent on paper, maybe can be a little tactical. But all the horses we're talking about are dropping outside of the 7. The 7 is the one I didn't use that's dropping. I mean, I guess coming from Parks maybe is an angle. I do love Jose Lascano more so on the turf than I do on the dirt. Dane Kabisky had this horse. So I think Dane Kabisky's a better trainer than James Lawrence. Couldn't really get much out of that horse except the Colonial Downs back in August. I mean, I don't know. I'm using horses that I actually think have a chance. I'm not really sure how else to explain it. And again, I went deep because I don't trust any of them, right? Because, Aaron, you're talking about the 6 who's dropping out of a turf race at 40,000 level. The 1 dirt race was decent over a muddy track. The 8 hasn't beaten a horse, but again, it was a maiden special weight, really should have come to the claiming ranks. Should have never been at the allowance ranks, whether it was state bred or not, in my opinion. It was not impressive back in January. At Aqueduct, the 9 Traffic Lane, we haven't seen this horse on the dirt since the Busanda. She beat 1 horse. So, there are just a lot of question marks. I have a feeling one of these 4 that we just mentioned is going to absolutely run away with the field. I just don't know which one it's going to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go short just to, or go longer, I should say, to whatever the point is, just to do it. So,
okay. So I'll address it. Ricky does the same thing every time. Like this, there's no difference between his free picks and his premium picks. I see him every day. It's same thing, same strategy. Just because he's not hitting a free one doesn't mean he's trying to cheat or he's doing something dumb or he's doing something weird. He does the same thing every time. I can vouch for that. The Monmouth thing, it is a total freaking nightmare. This whip, and when they have to use it and when they don't have to use it, I don't know what to make out of horses coming out of Monmouth one way or the other. It's a nightmare. That's all I can really. Is
that question relevant to this race? I'm not saying
I don't know if it's relevant to it's going to be relevant whenever they run anywhere at any time.
Right. No, I'm just saying, I'm looking through the PPs. I don't see anyone coming out of Monmouth except the 5 back on May 28th, I guess. I just didn't know if that was like a particular to this race question.
I think it was more of just what do you make out of these horses coming out of Monmouth? Your guess is as good as anybody.
I don't know.
You train a horse and you teach a horse and you teach a horse, and then you put them into new conditions, and then they have to learn something completely different. And then you take them out and they have to relearn what they previously learned. I'm sorry, there's just no way that's not going to have an effect on a horse.
Well, I don't know if this is going to go over anyone's head. Maybe even yours. Something everyone learned when they were a child, or I shouldn't say a child, growing up is PEMDAS, and that's a way you evaluate problems. It's parentheses, and then you go through it. It's the equal sign, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. No, seriously, all of a sudden PEMDAS for a reason. It's like a system that you learn in math. It's called PEMDAS to shorten it up. It's like changing that whole system. Like that's the way they're trained. PEMDAS, you start with parentheses. It's kind of the same thing here. To your point, it's just a completely different system now. So, yeah, I guess you got to just look at the horse. I would say if you see a Monmouth race that you're interested in, definitely watch the replay. That would be like the first thing that I do to see if there's anything quirky. You got to look into it. Maybe I don't know. Like it's tough to every situation, every race they come out is going to be very different, in my opinion.
Yeah, it just sucks. It sucks, and there's nothing we can do about it. Just complain about it, and maybe if enough people complain and stop betting Monmouth, they'll switch that rule up. I'm not totally against like limiting the use of the whip, but you have to allow the jockey to use it, at least 1, 2, 3 times during the stretch, something like that. I don't know what the right answer is, but no whip is not the right answer. Let's get back to this race. Yeah, Dennis is worried about the distance, basically, if I summarize what he's saying here with the 9, and he makes a good point. The worst race that the 9 had was at 5.5 furlongs, and then after that, they put the horse at a mile or greater. The race of 5.5 furlongs for the 9 was also the debut, so you do kind of say, well, was it the distance or was it just the horse was debuting and had some trouble or whatever, wasn't quite ready to run, things like that. I get it though. I look at it like this: if Traffic Lane gets bet down, like you really need every bit of that 3-1 to play, maybe 5-2. If this horse is 6-5, then it's not worth it, So if this horse gets bet down, like say the 3 in the last race yesterday, you don't want to bet. You don't want to bet, anything below 2-1 in this race. You really don't want to bet it.
I'm with you. If I'm playing the way you're playing and I see anything short of a morning line, that's probably one I want to avoid.
Yeah.
I didn't get an MIT. I just remember a few things. Granted, I'm only 25, so my memory is a little bit better.
Right.
It's true, though. If you're interested, as Mike eloquently pointed out here, order of operations is the correct term. Yes, it's also called PEMDAS. PEMDAS is the way of remembering it if you're Aaron, remember when we were with Heather's family and I had to give myself a way to remember everyone?
Yes.
It's the same thing. So it's the same thing. I did not graduate from MIT. I'm not that smart.
Yeah. All right. Listen, I'm done with this race. I'm done with your math lesson. It's the shittiest race on the sequence. So
that's true. It definitely is.
So let's go to the 8th. We get a little bit better caliber of horse in the 8th race. We're on the turf here. The turf is listed as good, by the way. So turf listed as good. Here we have now by this race, maybe they've changed that, but as of now, it's good. Allowance optional claimer, 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. So we get the fillies here again. We do have a scratch. The 1 is scratched and the 4 is scratched. I thought this was a very, very solid race. Ricky, what did you kind of think of this one?
Yeah, the 1 we knew was going to be out, MTO, and we also knew the 4, so I don't think we really factored that in for the record. I don't love the top 2 horses that I'm using, to be brutally honest. I'm just not sure what to make of the rest. Like, I'm just not sure how good the other ones are, so I'll get into it here. I thought I'll skip the one of them that I was going to use because that's what you're going to use. I'll start with the 5. I'm using 2, but I'll talk about the 5, Lovely Lucky. I talked about for a long, long time how I think Gulfstream horses are soft. Now, what does soft mean? It's the same thing in the Big 12 college football. I think they're soft. They play SEC teams and they get they beaten up brutally. I think they come north, Belmont, Aqueduct, whatever it is, and I just don't think they're as gritty. That's why I love Oaklawn horses. I think they're very gritty. Same thing here in New York. It's one of those situations that I wasn't in love with her La Pro. Well, I can't even pronounce that. I'm not even going to try. It was her only race this year. But I do like her races at Saratoga last year. The Glens Falls, I thought was pretty good. Civil Union, My Sister Nine, Bow Bell would all be winners in this spot if they were to run here. So I thought that was impressive. And she seems to have taken to this Saratoga turf. Though a race prior to in July, she absolutely rolled. And I thought it was a fair effort in the Glens Falls. I thought she was pretty good in that race. To a shorter price, but whatever. The layoff is the question mark, right? She didn't show speed in her last race, and that's fine. Always shopping, and some of those older fillies and mares in there are better than her, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. I expect her to show speed in a race where I'm not sure where the other speed is going to be that good. I also used the horse Lagome, or I think I said that right, that I thought was interesting because of that speed, getting Luis Saez. I just didn't think she was quite good enough. I know who I hark her back to, the horse we talked about yesterday. I think it was American Dubai, something Dubai, where it's like this horse has the speed, but just not quite that good. And then we saw Forza Dioro run off. So I went with 2. That was the 5 was the other one, and I used the other horse that you're going to talk about.
Yeah, listen, I think the number 2 Cat's Pajamas, it's just as simple as I think she's just a little bit better than anybody else in the race. And I get the 5, but, the 5 coming off a layoff, Albatrani, not great off layoffs. I thought there was enough to say, hey, if that horse is 6-5, I want to go elsewhere. And I really got stuck on number 2 Cat's Pajamas. The bad thing is the horse has finished twice, 2 straight times, and at Pimlico in Delaware, and now we're at Saratoga, and I know you're probably sitting there thinking, well, that's not a good thing, and it's not. But this race kind of came up pretty weak for a $100,000 purse, $105,000 purse, I should say. This ain't great. I wish I had a horse that was good enough, to run on the turf and compete, because this is a purse you could get a piece of and you maybe didn't deserve it. Listen, I also think the stretch out for Cat's Pajamas is going to be what she needs. I also like that Johnny Velasquez jumps aboard for Grand Motion. Motion is pretty good about spotting horses at Saratoga. He usually, when he brings them up here, they usually are ready to run. So I do think Motion, bringing her here, finding this spot, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I did go number 2 Cat's Pajamas on top. I think this is the one to beat. I think she just kind of sits and drafts behind that 7 that you were talking about, kind of sitting second or third. And I think the longer distance is going to help this horse. Yes,
well, let's get, Dennis talks about the 2 and the 6. I'm going to sum it up. I'm not going to read the whole thing. And Mike also, Samich says the same thing. The problem for me with the 6 I'm not sure exactly where she fits into this spot, right? Because, soft track at Delaware in the Christina, that's going to be one of your weaker turf races in the country. I could pretty much guarantee you that. The race before that in the Hilltop had some nice horses in it. Aldous a nice horse. But that was pretty. I think she passed in an incredibly fast field. I mean, the half was 47. If they go 47 in here, then yeah, Mia Martina's got a shot. I just don't see that happening. That was a field of 11. We're down to a field of 6 now. Aaron, I'm looking at a 49 flat, 49 and 4. Like, this is going to be slow, and it's a mile and 3/8. A lot of these horses have that distance question mark. One of the ones who doesn't, though, is the 5. Lovely Lucky has done it here at Saratoga twice, won one of them. So you're going to question this the distance with a lot of these. I think that's fair. It's a tough, grueling, literally a 3-turn race. I just the distance thing eliminated her for me. The thing about the 2 that I thought was interesting, John Velasquez has been absolutely horrible, but a lot of the mounts he's gotten, they weren't winning. And I brought up the Jose Lezcano stat that his average odds for Jose, because I'm a huge Lezcano fan, was 21-1. John Velasquez, I think, was in the 12 to 14-1 range. Mm-hmm. Now, am I sitting here and saying John Velasquez is still a top 5 rider in the country? I don't think so. But I'm with you. He seems to do much better on Grand Motion horses than he does on many others, especially on the grass. So I'm completely with you on that angle. I prefer the 2 over the 6.
Yeah, I think Grand Motion, I think he would rather have Velasquez than anybody. That's kind of over time. That's what you see. As far as the 6, to address the 6 for a second, I think that horse, if you're using the 2, I would use the 6 as well in your multi-sequences, because, trainer brings 2 up here. He gets Velasquez to ride 1. He gets Ortiz to ride another. Not that Grand Motion is like new to NYRA or doesn't run at NYRA, but like I mentioned, he doesn't run all his horses up here. So if he shipped these 2 up here and he gets 2, top class riders, I think you have to pay attention. So I don't know. If I were you, I would be a little worried about not having the 6 on the ticket. But to your point, I do like the 2 better. I really do. And I do think Motion will put Velasquez on the better of the 2 horses. And that not all trainers, well, not many would say that. But I think with Motion, that's the case.
I want to ask you, well, I guess this is a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway, just in case anyone was curious. If everyone in all these fillies and mares run their A+ race, is like A+ is the 2 the best horse? Because I don't think so.
Well,
A+, like everyone's going to run their physical best.
Yeah, I would think the 2 is the best. Maybe the 5. It's between the 2 and the 5.
Right, and that's what I'm saying here. Now. Yeah. The only reason people wouldn't be using the 5, in my opinion, is the layoff. That's probably the only reason. Because if you look on paper, she's the most talented. I don't think there's really an argument, to be quite honest, in terms of talent. So I'm covering my layoff question, or anyone's layoff question, I guess, with the 2. I think the 2 is better than the 6. So in my opinion, I'm not going to use a horse that I think is worse coming out of the same barn. That's just me. Now, if the 6 wins, I won't be shocked. Like, not at all. I'm not going to try to play 4 horses in every race, so I got to limit somewhere. I think the 5 is just much better on her best day.
I think the 5 is definitely the key to the race, but like I said, the trainer not great off layoffs. Like yesterday, Bill Mott had a horse that we'll talk about a little bit later, went off a layoff. Well, you look at Bill Mott's stats off layoffs, it's freaking incredible. Albatronis are not. So I think that's where it kind of comes into play. This is going to be an interesting race. I think, like I said, it may not be the strongest you've ever seen, but I do think there are a lot of different ways you can kind of go and look at it. We'll see. This could be a separator race. We'll find out here in a few hours. But let's go on to race number 9 on the card. If I can pull up there we go. Pull that up. So we're back on the dirt, going 1 1/8 allowance, another huge purse, $103,000 purse. Once again, for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. So 3rd straight race, we're going to talk about the females. A field of 8 with 7 betting interests, because the 1 and 1A obviously coupled. Another pretty solid race, I felt like. Ricky, where did you go here?
I just want to answer Dennis's question real quick. Why the 7 over the 6? Because I think I could see it going gate to wire. That's the only reason. I think the early speed for the 7 Lagome or whatever you say. In this, I thought this was interesting. I didn't really think anyone stood out. I know that 3 comes in as the 8-5 morning line favorite. I did think she was beatable though, because we talk about, we both try to talk about horses that don't win very often. So she hasn't won at all this year. We haven't seen her win in many, many, many months. She does have a nice second place finish here at Saratoga, which was closing weekend last year in the Fleet Indian. Maybe she likes this track. We've only seen one race. But I did use the 3. I think she's one of the more consistent runners, which if you guys have been watching on a consistent basis, I like consistency. That's just the way I am. Hence Shiraz yesterday. We're going to talk about Shiraz a little bit yesterday. I would like to see this horse get a little bit more of a push out of the gate. We haven't seen her on a fast track since Aqueduct at this level back in February, and I think that's a good enough race to win. That's kind of the race that I'm looking forward to. Not looking forward to a race that I'm trying to pin. The race on the turf, I don't really care about. That was her only turf start. She's not a turf runner. Probably a Gargan angle first off a lengthy layoff, getting this one on the turf just to get her going. I'm not sure. Maiden Beauty and Make Mischief are 2 nice fillies and mares that are a little bit better than this group. I will say that she has failed me twice now at a short price, so I'm a little worried because she was 3-5 as the favorite. You're supposed to win one of those. Maybe Iraq can get a little bit more out of her. You're using the 5 horse, I believe, so I'll skip that one for a minute. The 6 Love and Love is interesting as well, Aaron. We saw a lot of gate to wire, especially on the first half of the card yesterday. I believe there was no race 1, steeplechase race. Races 2 through 5 were all gate to wire. We saw a mule, whoever the 8 was, in the MTO yesterday. I forgot what the name was. That horse looked like horrible on paper. Went gate to wire. I can kind of see the 6 doing it here. And Dylan Davis has been aboard. This horse has been aboard a couple of the wins and a better performances. I think this is a horse that a lot of people are going to look. I don't think we're going to get 3-1. I think we actually might get a little bit better because of the connections. I think the 1 and 1A are going to take more play as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if the 2 with Jose Ortiz and Brennan Walsh get play as well. So I'm using 3, the 3 and the 6, and then the horse that you're going to place a win bet on.
Yeah, so the 5 Portilla, I'm really interested in this horse. 6-1 morning line. I really like Alstal's another one. When he ships a horse up here, they usually are ready to run. Gets Luis Saez aboard, who right now is tied with Irad Ortiz, the lead of the jockey standings after just a few days, but he's riding very, very well. This horse is kind of an up-and-comer, where some of these other ones, we kind of have a long list of knowing what they are. And what they are is just kind of average. Like a horse like Ice Princess certainly has a shot to win this race. She's also lost a lot of races in a row. Like Love and Love, the horse that you talked about. Another one, just kind of like a lot of losses in between wins there. So I thought this horse was interesting. Broke her maiden on Kentucky Derby week, and those are usually the tougher races. Ran at Churchill Downs, and then came back the last time out on June 12th in a tough allowance race. Got 4th, beaten 3 3/4. I didn't really think it was a great effort, but it wasn't awful. First time out against winners. Now we get a stretch out in distance. You look at the pedigree. This horse is dialed in out of a Giants Causeway mare. You would think 1 1/8 is going to hit this horse right between the eyes. You would think we're going to see this horse move up a bit, with the stretch out. So I'm pretty excited to see what she can do stretching out. I just thought there were a lot of good signs, there's just some horses here that it's like they've had a lot of chances where the 5 really hasn't really. We don't really know exactly what she is. So hasn't really been a horse that's been beaten over and over. So I'll take a shot with the 5, a small swing with her. Is that kind of the reasons you liked her as well?
Yeah, well, something you didn't mention, even though I agree with everything you said, the Churchill Downs runners have been the stars for the most part.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
They have been strong. Now, granted, the majority of the good ones have been in the Asmussen barn. If someone wanted to counteract that, if you've got some form and you look halfway decent, you're coming from Louisville, Kentucky, or anywhere in Kentucky really at this point, I'm throwing you on. And then when you're getting a rider upgrade, I'm sure as heck going to throw you on. And then when I see 6-1, I'm sure as hell going to throw you on. So for all these reasons, I mean, good luck leaving this one off and not being scared. This is my conundrum. I'm going to use a big word, conundrum.
Yeah.
Luis Saez is a gate rider, speed rider. We know that. Anyone who watches consistently knows that. This filly kind of seems like she wants to run from off the pace. This is your classic Joel Rosario rock your world situation. Now, I shouldn't say classic because his foot wasn't in the stirrups. Does Luis Saez get aggressive, or does Luis Saez just let her go and see what happens? If she breaks sharply, we're going to push. I'm not sure. I think that's the big question in this race because, again, Luis wants to be on the front end. A lot of, Aaron, what's interesting, this 5 Portilla beat the 1, or I guess I should say 1A, played hard a long time ago. I'm not really sure why played hard is 3-1. And I'm happy we got through those horses so I can ask you, or do we think the 1 or 1A is 3-1 because of the 1A or because of the 1? Because Stop Shop and Tammy has been competing against allowance horses and really hasn't shown a heck of a lot. Got to be quite honest. The only in the money finish was that maiden score I was at the fairgrounds last February. Played hard, already lost to this horse and took 2 more races to break the maiden. So I'm not really sure. Again, I'm not questioning Aragona. If you're going to tell me it's a Tyler Gaffleone thing, that's a lot of weight to put on to make 3-1. I just thought that was a little interesting. Did you think that was kind of weird or what? Yeah. Everyone's making fun of my education. I'm a young but educated man. It's a good word.
I love it. Manny's my favorite. To your point on the odds, I think it's the 1A because they stretched out in distance last time out. It was at Churchill Downs. She won by 5, and Gaffleone's back riding again. I mean, the 1A was the one I liked the best out of the 1 and 1A for sure. I think the morning line for this race is kind of tough, right? And I think because the point you made of Churchill Downs horses playing pretty well, and then Tyler Gaffleone is riding pretty well up there as well. I think they kind of thought, yeah, that horse is going to take some money. I wanted to address this comment. A lot of speed between the 1, the 6, the 7. Dennis thinks a 3 is a single. I can't go that far, but I do think there is going to be a pretty stiff pace here. So I think 1, 6, 7 are going to hook up. It certainly looks like that on paper.
So this is the classic, and this is the way I like to put it. Ice Princess is probably going to run, and I like to put it in numbers terms. We do English literature and mathematics on this show. 90 to 92. I think Ice Princess can run at this level. Again, not 90, 92 at a stakes level, but I think right here, right? This is where Ice Princess is going to run between a 90 and 92. Can anyone take a step up from a B- to above that, or a B to above that, or a B+ to above that? That, I think, is the question you have to ask. I actually think the 5 and 6 have the capability. I think the 5 has the most upside in this field. I don't know if you use the word upside. I don't remember, but I definitely do. You're right. This is a relative new shooter to this allowance level here in New York. The 1 is not really a new shooter outside of switching states. The 1A is a new shooter, but to your point, Lane Low Making Dough might be one of the most frustrating horses at Churchill Downs. Literally, I can't hate that horse more than anyone. No one hates that horse more than me. And I think the fact that she beat that horse by that much on the stretch out is interesting. But to the comments point, which is very accurate, Tug and drew off early on. I just don't think anyone really wanted to go that distance. And I don't think it's a matter of her shining at the distance. I think everyone else kind of faltered. I don't know. I think the 1A will show speed, but I'm with you. I don't think the 3 is a single. I just think the 3 is the most likely to run a better race than the rest. But I pointed out before, there were 2 races that were 3 to 5. She should have won one of them, and she hasn't. So I'm completely with you on the non-single angle.
Yeah, and then this kind of the comment of why is the 1 or 1A, who's taking the money? Why is it 3 to 1? Dennis says the 1A. So I definitely agree there. I think this one, I put this one on the trifecta. The 4, Samich says the 4 is interesting, bred to go 1 1/8, and the plan was clearly stretch the horse out. I thought this was interesting as well. Second off the layoff, I like that. Getting to the distance, I do think this horse wants. Manny Franco aboard once again. I think if you want to play a long shot, this one makes a little bit of sense. I think you can get there. Going to have to jump up and run a better race today for sure, but has a little bit of a right to do so. Did you consider the 4 at all?
So, all right, first of all, trying to fade the Engelhardt is always scary because they're pretty good, to be quite honest. They come out and they come with 2 angles, right? They come with like a Finger Lakes angle that people don't really factor in, or they come with like those claiming, they're in the claiming. We talked about it, like the Nodas and the Linda Rices. They're really good in that level. So this is where I'm going to push back on the comment. I agree this horse wants to go longer, clearly bred to go longer. I'm not sure why she was entered at a 7 furlong against Winners last time out, unless that was the only spot they could find. I'm not sure. I don't have the condition book. That's the only thing I would push back on. I agree. This horse wants longer. I'm not sure why she was entered at a 7 furlong. For me, this is just an angle that I use. I don't recommend it for everyone if they're not comfortable. I try to avoid horses, especially that first time out off the muddy track, and that's why maybe she was 26 to 1. Maybe she's going to be better going longer here, but I'm with you. I think she just needs to run better. Can I see it? Sure. I would have to get close to using them all, though, in my opinion. Like, I prefer the pair of 1s before. If you like this horse, you're going to get a price. I'll give you that. Like, guaranteed, you will get a price. You're probably going to get the longest shot on the board, I would say. That's not true. I would take the 4 over the 7. That's about it, though. I mean, never once on this show, literally, I will never bet Luis Rodriguez Castro ever on this show. Literally never. So I would take the 4 over the 7. I would never. Like, see, I don't know what's worse for me, Tim Hills, Chad Summers, or Luis Rodriguez Castro. Not really sure, because I'm never betting him. So I would take the 4 over the 7, but I'd have to go pretty deep to get there.
Let's address this comment. It says just Empty Pocket says take a hard look at the 2. I'm
afraid of that one.
I am as here's the deal. Here's why I am. Walsh beats me. Period. He always beats me. So I could see it. The pace should set up pretty well. We've addressed the pace a lot here. This horse comes from out of it. Second time off the layoff. Second time in a row going long. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. But we'll see. And yeah, Amish says best closer in a race full of speed. If it melts down, I could see this horse, I can see my 5 making a move and taking the lead, and then maybe the 2 gets it at the end. You see that at Saratoga a lot, these mile and 8th races. When that pace melts down, it really becomes a scramble towards the end. This horse will be running that last 16th of a mile. That much we know.
I don't hate the 2 at all. No one needs to convince me on the 2 at all, to be quite honest with you. Aaron, I've always asked, and I don't want to be the cynic on this show, even though I probably am.
You are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We always say Saratoga has a stakes race every day, and the only way you qualify that is with the steeplechase races. That's the only way it gets done. Mm-hmm. This is almost like a grade. No, I shouldn't say grade 3. This is a non-graded stakes race. Yeah. The 2 has experience against Nelly, some of these horses at the fairgrounds, and now she's going to be making her second start off the layoff. To some Mike Samich's point, I'm not going to use her. I'll be a little disappointed in myself if she wins. I'll just leave it at that, because I like her like way the heck lot more than the 4 and some of the others. This is a tough race. This is a stakes race. The race before was a weak AOC.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very, very strong allowance. Not an AOC, but a very, very strong allowance. I'm happy you didn't pick this race for a stakes winner like you did yesterday, because
we'll get to that because you're screwed on that. But
I'm not. Yeah, but I'm with you. This is a nice deal. I'm very worried, and Jose Ortiz getting aboard sure as heck helps as well. You know what's interesting? I don't know if we know the answer to this. Did Tyler Gaffalione get thrown off, or did he choose to ride for Phil Bauer? I don't know the answer to that. Who knows? Maybe someone here knows. If they have information, great. You know me, I'd rather have a Jose anyway. But Tyler has been aboard a bunch of times, so I don't know.
I think the replacement tells us what we need to know. I think
maybe
Jose Ortiz being aboard, it's like, well, they may have just said, hey, it's Saratoga, we're going with Jose. I don't know. We can't know that for sure, though. But that would be my guess. All right, let's move on to the final race. And I said earlier that the 6th race is the worst race. I may have lied. This race is not good, but that's what we're grown accustomed to in New York. It's a New York bred maiden claimer on the turf going 5.5 furlongs. Of course it is. $40,000 is the price for the maiden claiming. And we're going to keep it with the fillies for the 4th straight time. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. The 7 is scratched. That leaves us with a field of 11 New York breds on the turf going short. I know you love it, Ricky. Who do we go with here?
I'm going to adjust. I'm going to add one more horse to my ticket. So I'm looking at yours, and we have the same top choice. I'm trying to combine the words. So I'll just talk about the one that I'm using for now, and then I'll get to the other one once I add it. I thought the 12 Stella Mars was really, really interesting. Ran a race at Turfway for a long, long ways back, was horrible. And then the races prior to, not very good. Aaron, she kind of seems like she's getting a little bit better as a 3-year-old. You know what the tough thing about these races are? You're not making up angles. You're as close to making up things as possible, because these horses, again, should be on a farm hanging out with us. Breaking from the outside should help if she shows the same speed. I'm going to put speed in quotes because these horses have none. If she can break sharply and show a little bit of tactical speed. That's what I should have said. There's 5.5 furlongs on the melon. There's plenty of time to sort yourself out. Joel Rosario gave Frontman a fantastic, like A++ ride yesterday. Kind of hoping we get something similar here. Frontman wasn't in the best of spots early on, but found the way, navigated. I think we're going to talk about horses that just are pretty bad, and I'm going to try to use a bunch of them. I'll let you talk about yours that I also included, and I'm going to add one more that is coming out of, I think, a similar race or the same race, actually.
Yeah, I mean, from a speed figure standpoint, the 4 has got to be the one. To me, if she runs back to that last race, I think they'll be tough to beat her. And also, we talk about this all the time. When you're talking about horses that at lower levels, you really want speed horses. And I think Social Whirl can break from this inside post, get to the front, and really be tough to run down, especially 5.5 furlongs here at Saratoga. Give me that horse that wants to be on the lead. So I put the 4 on top. I do think this is a race that is going to be fairly wide open. I do know that the 12 beat the 4 last time, but I just think the conditions are going to be a little bit different today for the 4. I kind of like that, even though it's only, a half of a furlong, I do like a little bit shorter for the 4. And I think the 4 clears today. I think the 4 gets to the front. So I'm gonna put the 4 on top, Social Whirl. Ricky, how about your other horse?
Yeah. So at the last minute, sorry about that. We're playing no huddle here on the Rocket Hour. I did add one more horse. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm thrilled about throwing this horse on. I thought the 2, Orma, I think I'm saying that right, was decent. Your 4 comes in at 7-2, and then we're not showing the 12 right now, but I think Stella Mars is 4-1?
3-1.
3-1. Okay.
Yeah.
Something similar. I thought the 2, Orma, was interesting at this level. Okay, I'm going to try to walk us through this storyline here, right? Okay, first of all, I talked about Jimmy Bond in these types of spots. He's fantastic. Literally, in these maiden claimer, New York bred horses that should be on the farm spots. Like the last race of the day, he's great. Okay, now I'm going to get Luis Saez as well. That's definitely an upgrade. Sorry, Trevor McCarthy out in Del Mar now, or Luis Cardenas. Definitely an upgrade. Should get more speed. She should be on the lead break. She's only got to beat one horse to the rail. If the one path less taken gets the lead, then so be it. Like, I don't know what that horse is. I did not play for Syracuse. I played for Oklahoma. Me and Kyler Murray were actually battling it out. So Kyler beat me out, actually. I was there with Baker, couldn't beat him out. I was there for Kyler, couldn't beat him out. And now I'm here talking horses. I just think this is now, if we look at that first race in 2021, first off the layoff, I mean, fine, whatever. Did take a massive step forward, massive in her next start. I think she's going to be good as well. And I think we're going to get a decent price. Mike Somich talks about the 1 a little bit. Mm-hmm. Did you want to talk about the 1 at all? I mean, look, if you want to use a first-time starter in this race, I'm not against it at all, because we can go through some of these that, oh my goodness, they are brutal, literally brutal. So if someone went with a first-time starter, I did use the 1 and 4th for the record. I just would like a little experience more so, but she's not impossible.
It makes sense. A lot of times you look at these maiden claimers, you're like, well, if this firster can run at all, they're going to win. My theory, though, is if you're starting a horse out in a maiden claiming race, 99 times out of 100, your expectations are pretty low, because you got to think about it like this. You have a horse, it's never started, you don't really know the talent level, and you're just going to throw it in for a tag right away. Like, usually, if you think the horse has any talent, well, we'll try a maiden special weight, and then if we get our brains beat in, we'll go to the claiming ranks. That's usually how it goes. It's not always. You can point out, oh, this first timer won a maiden claim. I know it happens, but I usually stay away from first timers in maiden claiming races. So that being said, it's Saratoga. Any win at Saratoga is a good win, and maybe they're just trying to be logical with the horse and say, hey, we're going to try to win a race at Saratoga. We don't care what it is. So I don't hate using the 1, but I usually try to stay away from first-time starters in maiden claiming races.
You know what? There was a bet that I know I could have won and that you would have taken.
Okay.
Too bad it's already happened, so it would be tough to enact. Junior Alvarado wins versus Jose Lascano wins. I think that's a bet you would have taken because you're a big Junior fan. For that point, the only reason I bring it up, I don't know if it's the mounts Junior's been getting. I do, after this weekend, I do want to do some research like next Monday on just jockeys and trying to put some stats together that we could talk about. He just doesn't seem to be at the top of his game. Now, granted, I'm going to do the same odds perspective that I did for Jose Lascano, so I don't want to be completely unfair. The other thing is that this is the other Morley horse. Mm-hmm. Aaron, you like the 4, Social Whirl. That's who I also like. It's one thing if there was a Morley horse who we thought was dreadful. We don't think the 4 is completely dreadful if she runs her best race. I assume that's our most likely winner in our book. So that's one of the other reasons I didn't use the 1 as well. Good luck to the Morleys. That's Maggie. That's everyone. I don't know. Whoever they got going on, good luck. They should have a good shot in this race. This is a nice stat, though. 38% at the maiden claiming debut. I guess debut is the word. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll take Javier over Junior, and I'll take experience over non-experience. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those races. I mean, it's kind of like the last race yesterday, where it's just like, yeah, any of these can really win and jump up and run a big race. it's possible. If you want to use a price there, I wouldn't really blame you at all. Listen, that's just kind of my rule. I stay away from first-time starters a lot, most of the time. There's always exceptions, but most of the time in maiden claiming races. So
I want to ask you before we recap. I don't know if you have the stuff ready for a recap, so I'll delay. Okay, you do. Great. So I'm going to ask this question real quick. These horses are like, no joke, like a 68. I'm using math. I'm going back to my teaching skills. If the one runs a 70, a tongue twister, I think she can win. Yeah. I truly do. She doesn't have to run a big effort, but I'm with you. The 2, 4, and the 12 look good, just good enough where I don't want a first-time starter, if that makes sense. Like if the 12 wasn't in here, maybe I'd consider the 4. If the 2 wasn't in here, I just think they're enough. So that for me, I do like the one a touch. The other thing before we switch it over, you could find a nice price. If there's a horse you really like for some reason, a replay you like, a connection you like, you shouldn't get anything shorter than 3 to 1, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, you're going to get a price on a win bet here. So, yeah, it's very wide open for sure. All right, let's see here. Dennis sums it up best. This race effing sucks. Yeah, I totally agree with that. All right, so
the difference between this race and a race at like Belmont is that it's at Saratoga. That's the only difference. It's the same horse.
Yeah.
That's literally the only difference.
The scenic part of it will still be pretty because all races are pretty at Saratoga. All right, before we go on to kind of recap what happened yesterday quickly, go ahead and recap for us and read off your ticket.
Sure. So again, it's a little different than if you start at the beginning. It's not different. I just added a horse, I should say. So I'll start in race 7. We're gonna, I went 6, 8, 9, 10. It's not because they're not talented. It's more so because I just don't trust any of the horses. They're horses that I have a lot of question marks about. Aaron used the 9 Traffic Lane. I put the 10 Chloe Rose on top. I'd like to see her break a little sharply, getting back to the dirt. So I went 4 deep there. In race 8, I went with the 2, 5, and the 7. The 7 more so just because there's a speed angle there, but I think the 5 is the horse to beat if she overcomes a layoff issue, not one of Tom Albertrani's best angles there. In the next race, I went with 3, 5, and 6, Ice Princess, Portia, and Love and Love. I'm with Aaron. I think Portia is the horse to keep an eye on, and you should get a nice price. And then finally, I went 2, 4, and 12. I don't love the 2. I just think she looked much better last time out. Now coming up here, making her Saratoga debut. If you want to cut it short, you could stay, I think, with the 4 and 12, and that should be good enough. That's an $18 difference if you were to include 2 in the last or 3 in the last. I'm going to go 3 in the last again. If you want to, you can cut that by a third, end up with 36. So I went 4 by 3 by 3 by 3 there.
Yep. All right. So race 7, I think the 9 is just going to kind of outclass that field. So I went with the win wager on the 9 in race 7. Just hope to get kind of that outside stalking trip and pounce. Race 8, I went with the 2. I kind of like this horse. I kind of think Grand Motion has spotted this horse pretty well today. So I think Cat's Pajamas is going to be pretty tough in the 8th. In the 9th, I'm going to take a shot with the 5 Portilla. I think the race sets up pretty well for this filly. Hopefully there's a lot of speed in front. Now she's stretching out in distance for the first time. I really like that. I think this horse is bred to do it. And then in the 10th, I'll take a shot with the 4, hoping kind of take him gate to wire here. She looks like the horse that has the most speed in the race, and that's kind of what you want in those lower level races. So that's how I'll round mine out. We had this question, Steeplechase. We are running. Yesterday was canceled. Today it is running the AP Smithwick Memorial Steeplechase Stakes. It is a grade 1 race for the steeplechasers. Who did you pick in this race?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Please do not take what I say seriously. I don't know how to handicap this stuff. I'm taking a guess. Literally, I apologize in advance. I'm going to use the 5 Galway Kid. Aaron, dating back to last summer, so last August, this horse hasn't lost except for the races he didn't finish. I'm laughing because I'm being dead serious. I don't know how to handicap this. Please do not take what I say seriously. Please, I'm begging you not to. Don't send me a DM. Don't email me. Don't reach out to me and tell me your steeplechase pick was wrong. If this horse finishes the race, he seems like he wins. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use a 6-year-old by Shalikov. Oh my gosh. By I don't know. I have no clue. I'm going with the 5.
Hey, we're on the same horse. We're on the same horse. So
that's not good. That's not good.
No,
if we're on the same
listen,
then that's not good.
what you basically said is you guarantee the 5 will win if the 5 finishes the race. So
I mean, is it not true though? Dating back to last summer in 4 starts, the horse wins unless he doesn't finish.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, when it comes to these races, them not finishing is a thing.
Yeah, the thing. Yeah,
like I'm not making it up.
No.
Dennis says this is what I wanted to ask because it is entertainment, guys. I literally apologize in advance.
Yeah,
I have no clue what's going on with these races. I think it's one of the most fun things to watch. I highly recommend you don't bet it. Unless you have some angle or some inside knowledge, please. Like, it's not the best bet of all time. It's really.
I think you just box the 5, 6. That's my 2 choices. Just box them and $10 exact to box 5, 6. That's the guaranteed play of the day right there.
I can't wait for the exacta to come in like 1, 3, 4, and Aaron's here tomorrow saying I told you not to bet it. But
listen, Jared Bush says Dennis the 6. Trust me. I never trust the guy who says trust me. So I can't trust that now.
That is true. I was taught a long time ago, if you're telling someone trust me,
yeah,
you might want to avoid those things. Now, Samaj says 3 winning from the clouds. Like, oh, you do it. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe the 3 is the second coming of domestic spending on this. I don't know. I mean, who the heck knows? I mean, is Thomas Gardner? I don't know, Flavian Pratt on the grass. I mean, I don't know. Like, I've never heard of any of these trainers. I've never heard of any of the riders. The only thing, the coolest thing about this, I will say this. Mm-hmm. I like the horses that, again, I said it yesterday, that transition from like, like I think the Alan Jerkins at Gulfstream is like a 2-mile race. I like those types of things. Like, I think like High Noon Rider ran in it. I think that's a Sophie Joseph horse. Like horses that go like 1.5 miles and then transform into these types of horses, I think are cool. Outside of that, I just watch it for fun. Same trainer at the 5. I mean, I don't know what the angles are. Maybe we're boxing 3-5. Maybe I don't know.
You have to have fun with this.
You gotta have fun with the sequence.
You bet a little on it and just have fun. I mean, I totally agree. Listen, Jared Bush he has inside info on the 6. So,
well, if that's the case, if you have inside info on the steeplechase races, then maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know, man.
But hold on though, Jared. Your pick 5, you're using 3 horses in the race, but you have inside info on the 6. So why not single the 6 if you're that?
Well, there's no pick 5 here. It's it's
a pick 3. He said pick 3. This is a pick 3 ticket.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I mean, if you have inside info that the 6 is going to win, why are we using the 3 and the 5? That's my question.
Better yet, why is this even a betting race? Like, it should just be seriously like a non-betting race. You could run for purse money, but non-betting race. Everyone is going to save your money. Honestly, the track must love these races because they're guaranteed to make good money on it. Guaranteed, because there's going to be like a horse with 20-1 who wins, who looks like dog duty, and the horse is probably going to win by 6 lengths, while 2 of the 3 don't finish. 2 or 3 don't finish. So I'm done there.
Dog duty. All right, let's quickly, because we've ran a C double bet steeples. I've done that before. I have bet a steeple race before. So
you bet doubles in a steeplechase race?
No, he's talking that C triple or bet C double bet triple.
Oh. Speaking of, are we ever gonna get a rocket shirt together?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's happening.
I'm asking. I'm not asking for a friend. Usually when someone says like, "Oh, I'm asking for a friend," I'm actually just asking for myself.
No, it's legally you have to be 18 before we can print a shirt about you. So you're not there yet. Maybe next
I know.
year.
I'm still finishing my last semesters at MIT.
All right, let's get into recapping yesterday. I listen. I'm being serious. You got 10 minutes tops to do this whole thing. So
I could do it in 5. This was the race that I thought was the most wide open. We used the 12, Gimme Some Mo, who was the favorite. But I said this was the one that you needed to go deep, and I used 5 deep. I went 5 deep, and I got lucky here. This was the ride I was talking about. Joel Rosario just saved as much ground as possible, and when got the opening, went 4 or 5 wide and drew off. This was a nice start to the sequence. Unfortunately, we weren't able to capitalize.
No, I was horrible in this race. So I picked the 12, Gimme Some Mo. That was a really, really good pick. Really good.
Well, in your defense, even though I don't have to defend you, I also used the 12, and that's with the horse I put on top as well. So.
Wait, Ricky texted me on the turn. He goes, "There's no excuse for the 12," and I said, "No, the horse should win." And
all right, okay. I got to be honest. Now you're lying because
no, I'm not lying.
You're lying because you didn't respond to my text. Don't tell people you responded when you didn't respond. You didn't.
Well,
you didn't.
I responded in my mind.
Well, that's not good enough.
I thought I did respond. Hold on. I'm pulling up your messages.
If you responded after the race, that doesn't count because I did say there was no excuse for the 12 literally like around the first turn. I didn't say like down the stretch.
I did respond. You said no excuse for the 12, and I sent the eyeball emojis. There you go.
Oh, well, okay. Then I apologize for trying to put you on Front Street here in the middle.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, Jared, we'll be there for the Travers. Hopefully,
yes.
we'll see you there.
Yeah. Race 8, Ricky. Go ahead.
This is the race that killed me.
Yeah.
If you guys look at Shiraz, if you have 30 seconds, this horse has more second-place finishes than the amount of salads I eat in a week. I mean, I can't function. I can't fathom using a horse that just finishes second so much. And Fast Getaway really looked like gone. To be quite honest with you, I don't know how else to explain it. He looked gone. I had the 10-3 Outlaws. Boy, that horse stunk. And then I had one discretionary mark, just didn't fire because he was sitting in a perfect spot. If he could, saving ground, there's nothing Irad could have done differently. I mean, gave the horse an opportunity, and I was like, all right, I got one shot with Fast Getaway, couldn't hold off, and I texted Aaron right away. I said the rest of the sequence is foregone conclusion. It's a winner. The rest of the sequence.
Yep.
And I did text him, and I said, you know what? It's a good feeling even when you miss, you're barely missing, type of thing. So I guess that's the way to look at it. Shiraz caused was one. I don't know what that means.
He bet it because he drinks that wine.
Well, look, we've heard none of your
previous comments. Trust him on the 6. And then
yeah. Yeah.
I love that. That's great. That's what I'm talking about. When we say having fun, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just got to have fun.
Yeah. Maybe the problem on the show is we don't drink enough. Maybe it's only noon here. Maybe we need to start incorporating alcohol. But no, I thought the 12 was home.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the 12 lost or the 6 won. I haven't watched the replay because I was just so upset, to be quite honest. Because I knew it was a foregone conclusion we were going to win, but I guess we can move on.
Yeah, it was tough. Swashbuckle, my top pick, ran okay, but that doesn't get you paid. So we'll go to the 9th. This obviously was one of the best races we've seen. Well, I don't know. We've seen a lot of good races at Saratoga, but this was a very good one. Forza Dioro is back in a big way. Definitely going to be in the stakes next time out. I was pretty impressed. Hunter Buyer, by the way, off the bench. Were you as impressed as I was with this horse?
Yeah. I'm deciding what I want to say because I now have to root against, as Dennis says. Forza Dioro Breeders' Cup Mile winner. I have to now root against this horse. I have to root against all of them, but I definitely have to root against this one. The problem is we looked at highest honors as almost like a can't lose type of horse, or a horse that should have won.
I get to address him. You don't get to address him.
I don't get to oh, okay,
No,
fine.
I get to talk about highest honors.
Okay, fine. Because of the horse that I'm not allowed to mention, I'm not sure how good this field was. I mean, we liked West Willpower a little bit, and you liked American Dubai. I didn't really like that horse at all. But, yeah, I mean, if he does come back like the way – I mean, what has he won, 3 in a row now? I mean, he looks like a pretty good horse, to be quite honest with you. I'll let you go on a rant about highest honors, who easily is the worst loser of the first 5 days of the meet. Literally, like in terms of odds, the worst loser. It's not even close.
Yep. So this is the worst pick I've ever made in my whole life. I'm highlighting. It highlighted all of them. Of course it did. Yeah,
it's hard because it's a PDF.
I highlighted that. This horse lost by 47 3/4 lengths. If that doesn't make you want to quit for at least 5 minutes watching the sport, nothing will. I was just disgusted. That horse was awful. The winner's really good. We had the bet, can any of these 5 horses now go on to win a stakes race before the Breeders' Cup or the Breeders' Cup itself? And you said no, and I said yes. I feel good about the bet after this, but you made a very good point as we were texting, because I always text you back. It just depends on where they put Forza d'Oro. Obviously, he could win a grade 3, but will they try the deep waters of grade 1, try to get to a Breeders' Cup?
Does he show up in the Travers? Sorry, not the Travers. Sorry,
the Jockey Club.
Or the Jockey Club, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean the Travers. I apologize.
Yeah.
Right. If they put him in a grade 1 race, then Aaron's looking not great, because it's about placement. If you put him in if you find I don't know, like, they have in New York, they have like these famous Saratoga horses, like the Curlins and the, X, Y, and Z, like a non-graded type of race, then yeah, I'm looking screwed. And I didn't say graded. So I will owe Aaron plenty of drinks at the Breeders' Cup, or he'll owe me plenty of drinks. The only way that doesn't happen is if one of these 5 are entered. Then we have to wait and see. If one of these 5 are entered in a Breeders' Cup race, I should lose automatically, because those trainers and connections should lose their jobs. None of these horses are Breeders' Cup horses.
I mean, I don't know. I think the winner could sneak into like the dirt mile. I don't think he's a winner, but I mean, if he might ship out there with the other Motts and get to run in it. Yeah, I agree. The grade 2, grade 3 types, this really made me laugh. Highest honor, next out, stakes winner. Trust him. Highest honor. I imagine that's the last race we'll ever see from him. Now, to be completely serious, I have a feeling something went wrong with him again. He hasn't been a healthy horse, so that's my only guess, because that was awful.
Again, I'm going to be nice. That was one of the more pitiful performances
ever.
Yeah, I think ever's fair. I mean, you can't be a betting favorite and lose by 47 lengths. There's got to be something wrong with him. Has to be. I mean, there's got to be.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Final one, race 10. Listen, this was a shitty race. The 3 gets bet down to 4 to 5 in this race. Doesn't break. Is like, we thought, well, the 3 will be on the lead. The 3's in 7th, way behind. The 3 did come up and make somewhat of a run, but Mommy's Jewel wins. Is there any reason to talk about this one?
No, other than the fact, of course, I went 1, 2, and 3, which I knew was going to happen the minute I didn't get the 12 home. I told Aaron, I said, this is like home free, guaranteed. Like I should have just started betting doubles at that point.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, there's not much to talk about. I did like the 9 on top over the 1. But it is what it is.
Close race, really close race. Good race. It was an entertaining finish, and that's kind of, that's what you kind of want in any race, especially with one that doesn't have a lot of fun going into it. At least something fun happened during the race. So, yeah, I mean, it was good. I feel terrible for you about this race right here. I mean, my goodness. Yeah, I thought you had it the whole way, and that would have been 1,000+ score in the pick 4. Which is kind of funny, this guy's like, I don't think you do very well on these, or I don't remember what the comment was. Yeah, this one. It's like, well, literally a nose cost like you $1,000 yesterday. So that's horse racing. That's
and on the product, it cost me the pick 6 and the pick 5 as well.
So yeah. So wait, you didn't hit everything on your product, but not the free one?
No, I didn't hit everything. Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? You mean you don't just hit on the product and not the free ones?
No, usually it works out.
You don't do that on purpose?
No, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying. Okay. I'm not trying to miss on purpose.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, that'll wrap us up for the day. So I couldn't resist. It's like I don't like comments like that. I'm sorry. It's just like,
well, so here's the difference I think between us. I embrace it. I don't really like. I personally don't care as long as it could be thrown around the other way. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like I don't care if someone wants to critique my handicapping skills. That's fine. I mean, this is
yeah.
It's just if I throw it the other way, I just don't want to hear. Well, I mean, all right. Well, you chose that. So that's just the way I am. But
no, I don't mind critiquing handicapping at all, because we all need to do that, not only to each other, but like, I mean, you need to hear that. You need to, hey, you're sucking. This is an angle you're missing. I don't have a problem with that. But yeah. Don't be like, oh, your free ones you don't put any time into, or something like. It's like,
well, I will say the free one is the same exact thing as the back, as like the final 10-15% of the product. So it's not like I'm making something up different. If someone buys the product, they're going to see the same thing, like the same brief thing. So I'm literally, like, no joke, I'm literally copying and pasting it. So I'm not sure. And that's why I put 2 tickets out. If some people want to go short, they can play 2 horses, and then you get a $3, $2 or $3 pick 4. So if you want to try to maximize your score, that's why I put 2 different options. It's definitely not because I don't put time into it. I probably put as much time into it as anyone in the sport. So I mean, it's my job. I'm putting like 40 hours a week into it. So I'm not really sure, but that's fine. Again, I don't really care.
That's the thing. People, they just don't. This is all we do all day long, every day. So I get 1 day off a year. That's Christmas Eve. Other than that,
because they don't run on Christmas. Yeah, you get less time off.
Right. We do this 365. So, that's just, it is what it is. That's okay. All right. We are going to sign off before, listen, to be serious, we have blinkers off, and it's not going to be late at night. It's going to be in the afternoon.
Whoa.
Ricky, don't fall down. Don't pass out, Ricky.
Holy crud.
Blinkers off is coming. And now can I give you a time? No, I can't, but it'll be before the Magic Mike show. And I'm thinking it's going to be here in an hour or so. So blinkers off, coming up. We're going to talk all that kind of stuff. Dennis just fell out of bed. And then the Magic Mike show also will be coming up at its normal time, 5:30 Eastern time. We got a lot going on. Saratoga is about 45 minutes away. We get the Steeplechase, Jared Bush. Let's get the 6 home. 5-6 exacta box in the Steeplechase. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be right back here tomorrow, Rocket Hour as well, covering the late pick 4 at Saratoga. By the way, the Lake George, we get to talk about that tomorrow, Ricky. I cannot wait. That is the race of the weekend at Saratoga.
What I will say about the Lake George, I pretty much used every single horse I actually thought could win. Like that's probably the toughest stakes race on the turf. That
usually what you want to do in a pick 4 is use the horses you think will win. Go on.
Right. Well, you're not allowed to do that. The role I've been on, you're not allowed to critique me right now. You got to let me do my own thing. Once I go like 0 for 20 in a row, then you can get on me.
You're right.
But what I will say is I can't remember a tougher grade 3 stakes race. Like someone would have to challenge. I'm no joke. I'm not going to say which ones I'm using. I think I'm using 6. Like actually. Good luck to people trying to figure that one out tomorrow. Well, it's incredibly tough.
You have less than 24 hours, because when we go live at 10, you have to have, or at 11 Eastern time, you have to have it figured out. So
no, it's figured out now. You know me. You know me. I'm ahead. I'm just saying it was like if someone like there are a few people that, one of the best things I like to do is if I have a tough stakes race or a race that I'm not sure about, I'll ask my dad because he's not into it as much. So what, for me, that's what I like to do. He's more of like a black and white. He just looks at it because he doesn't know where horses are coming from. Trainers, he just says, oh, this one on paper looks, or this one doesn't look good. Sometimes that helps me clear things up because we get in our own heads as handicappers. Yeah. So I always think having a second opinion that's not analytics or speed figures, as someone with eyes that actually looks at it and understands, can help as well. I think for everyone, if they have a second person or something like that, that always helps. So maybe I'll have to consult my father on that one and see what he thinks. But it's going to be a great race.
It is going to be a great race. It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. We got a good card today as well. Listen, this is for horse racing fans. These are the glory days, right? These summer days, Saratoga, and then Del Mar has some really good stuff this weekend as well. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Blinkers off. All right, we're getting out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Late pick 4, Saratoga. Ricky, I know you won't hit this pick 4 today because you don't try on the free ones, but hopefully maybe you get lucky, and even though you didn't try, you hit it. Hopefully I can do better than get beaten by 47 links today in the feature. That'd be great. So we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Good luck to everybody playing today.